Good afternoon, this is the PlugSeeker. Welcome to another episode. Now, in today's episode, I'm going to be demonstrating how to use one of the newest generation of rapid chargers, which is common on the Chargeplace Scotland network. Now, the Chargeplace Scotland network is the national network of chargers for both rapid and also 7 to 22 kilowatt posts, which is subsidised by the Scottish Government. Now, Chargeplace Scotland was set up in 2013, and as of the date of this video, there are well over 2,100 charging posts across the country. If you want to learn a little bit more about the Chargeplace Scotland network, please do check out the last video in my channel, as I went into the history and the background of this network in a lot more detail. Also, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and to click on the notification bell to get new episodes as soon as I release them. So I filmed today's rapid charger review on a recent trip I did to Scotland. Now, it's worth mentioning that Chargeplace Scotland, unlike many networks, has a variety of different hardware making up the rapid chargers. There are a variety of different suppliers, and also across the network there are some very old rapid chargers that have been around for many years, and then there's some more modern hardware which has been updated in recent years. So it's quite a mixed bag, the network, when it comes to rapid chargers. However, many locations are now upgrading their older hardware, and by far the commonest provider is the company SWARCO, and its rapid chargers by the SWARCO Smart Charging brand. And this used to be the eVolt brand, which was taken over by SWARCO a few years ago. Now, SWARCO, as you have seen in my previous video, maintains and supplies about 75% of the rapid chargers on Chargeplace Scotland network, and so is by far the commonest type you are likely to see. If you'd like to see an example of me using one of the older eVolt machines, then do look back in my channel to this video I did in 2019, where I demonstrated how to use one. Although do beware, that video is now slightly out of date, and that the app that's being used in that video is not the same one that is now being used by Chargeplace Scotland, which you'll be seeing later on in this video. So in today's video, I'll be demonstrating how to use one of the newer SWARCO rapid chargers, and that is this one, the Circontrol Raption 50. And this is probably one of the commonest rapid chargers of the new generation that is currently being rolled out on the network. So firstly, I'll be demonstrating how to activate it using the Chargeplace Scotland RFID card. Then I'll give a demonstration of how to activate it using the Chargeplace Scotland new app. And finally, I'll try activating it using a contactless debit card. And we'll see how I get on. Now, I will warn you that one of these three methods in this particular occasion, unfortunately, was not successful. And I'll demonstrate what happened. And also, I'll talk about my experience and reflect on it at the end of the video. So, without further ado, let's go down to the main video.
So this is the charger I'm going to be demonstrating today. It is the Circontrol Raption 50 model, and is supplied to Chargeplace Scotland by the company SWARCO. This is probably one of the commonest of the next generation rapid chargers on the network. On the front, you will see there are two DC charging cables. The blue one on the right is the DC chat mode charger. Incidentally, you will often find that these plugs are coloured blue on many other networks as well. These are used to charge mainly Nissan Leafs and also the Nissan ENV200 vans. The black charger on the left is the DC CCS cable. This is now by far the most commonest charging standard and fits the vast majority of the other EVs on the market today. The maximum rapid charging speed on this particular unit for both of these cables is 50 kilowatts. However, there are now some newer units on the network that can deliver 69 kilowatts via CHAdeMO and up to 100 to 150 kilowatts via the CCS. The Chargeplace Scotland app will show the maximum charges possible at any one location, and in fact you can also filter on the map to show chargers with the fastest charging speeds. You'll notice that this particular rapid charger is a dual cable unit and does not have a third AC Type 2 charger. Unfortunately, that means that if you have one of the older first generation Renault Zoes, you will not be able to rapid charge on this particular unit. The newer generation of Renault Zoes, however, now use the DC CCS standard instead. You may notice if you look at the right hand side of this unit, at the top, there is a filled-in socket area. This is because these SWARCO units do come with the optional configuration of having either a Type 2 cable or a Type 2 AC socket on the right hand side. If they have this configuration with a Type 2 tethered cable, this can provide potentially up to 43 kilowatts, which would allow a Mark 1 Zoe to rapid charge, just as they had on the older triple-headed chargers. Although it may be reduced if one of the other DC chargers is being used at the same time. The other configuration which you may see is a simple Type 2 plug socket on the side of the charger. Here an EV driver would need to plug in their own Type 2 cable to charge. At these locations, therefore, you would only be able to deliver a maximum of about 7 to 22 kilowatts. At this location, there was already a separate Type 2 post right next to the charger, and so this is probably why they opted for this configuration. If you are at a location where the rapid charger does have a Type 2 plug or cable on one of these units, it's worth noting that you can still use this even if another driver is simultaneously using the DC CHAdeMO or CCS. On the front of all the Chargeplace Scotland machines, there are one of these information stickers. This shows the unique ID number of the charger. You can also find the Chargeplace Scotland helpline number, which is available 24/7, and it also provides information on the Chargeplace Scotland website, email address and Twitter tag. On the right hand side is the control touchscreen. At the start, the screen defaults to showing you the costs at this particular location. In this case, we can see the charger costs 30p per kilowatt hour and has a minimum of £1 charge. The screen also gives the details of the overstay policy. Overstay fees apply at many of the Chargeplace Scotland locations, and they will differ depending on the location and the type of charger you are using. Overstay fees are there obviously to prevent drivers from inappropriately plugging in for longer than they need, and hence blocking the charger from other users. On this charger it says there is a £1 per minute charge for overstay after 45 minutes, with a maximum overstay fee of £30. For more details of different overstay policies at different locations, these can be found on the Chargeplace Scotland website. Underneath the control screen are two RFID pads. The black and white RFID pad on the left is used for charging using the Chargeplace Scotland RFID card. Next to this is a smaller white RFID card with a green screen above. This is used for charging with pay-as-you-go contactless payments. You can use this to pay by debit, credit card, or using Apple or Google Pay on your mobile. Finally, on the left-hand side of the unit is an emergency stop button. However, as the name suggests, this should only be used to disconnect your car in a real emergency. After using it, some machines may remain disabled until a service engineer can come and restart them. So, I would always suggest first to try ringing the 24/7 helpline if you are having difficulties disconnecting your car. Okay, so that's the basics of the unit. Now I'm going to move on to demonstrate how to charge. To charge using this network, you basically have three options. You can sign up for free on the Chargeplace Scotland website or app to be a member and add your payment details. Once you're set up as a member, you can use the Chargeplace Scotland app to activate any of the chargers on the network. Also, once you are signed as a member, you can apply for an RFID card for a one-off fee of £10. These cards can then be used to quickly start any of the chargers on the network. And finally, if using a rapid charger, most of them now allow you to pay with contactless payment, such as a debit card. Okay, so let's start with how to use the RFID card. So I open the charging flap first, and the rapid charging in the Nissan Leaf is this one on the left, which is the CHAdeMO. So I open the charging flap like this, and now I'm ready to charge. Next, you tap the card to the RFID card on the left, and it'll ask you which rapid charger you require. And for the Nissan Leaf, we want the one on the right, which is the CHAdeMO. You'll be now prompted to connect the charging cable to your car. The CHAdeMO cable is the blue one on the right, and you will find that on many networks the CHAdeMO is usually marked in blue. To release it, push forward on the button and it will pull out of the socket. When connecting the CHAdeMO, push firmly into place and you should hear it click as it goes in. And finally, press the green start button at the bottom of the screen to commence your charge. You'll hear the fan start up as the machine initiates, and then a double beep as the Nissan Leaf connects. You'll then see a status screen which will show you how long you've been charging, what percentage your battery is at, and how many kilowatt hours have been delivered. Okay, let's say you've finished charging now. To end the charge, tap the RFID card back on the left-hand RFID pad, and then you'll be presented the option to stop. Press the red button on the right to stop the charge, and you'll be then presented with a summary of your recent charge. As you can see, this summary screen shows you how long you were charging for, how many kilowatt hours of power you delivered, what percentage your battery was at the end, and finally, how much it cost you. To remove the CHAdeMO plug, push the button forward again and pull back firmly. And finally, place the CHAdeMO plug back in the socket on the unit, and it should click as it goes back into place. And all that's left to do now is close the CHAdeMO socket and shut the charging flap. And we're done. Now I'm going to demonstrate how to charge again, except this time using the Chargeplace Scotland app. So first thing you need to do is to download the app, register with Chargeplace Scotland and add some payment details, which will take about 5 to 10 minutes. When activating using the app, you do not need to use any of the controls on the charger itself. Everything is done from within the app. When you open the app, you will see a map of all the chargers that are on the network, and you can zoom in on any particular location. However, if you know the ID number of the charger, you can enter it at the top. We know this charger is 52992, and we enter this at the top, and you'll see it brings up the charger location at Longniddry Community Centre. On the next screen, it shows you which chargers are available at this location, and again, we want the CHAdeMO, so we select Socket 2. In the next screen, the app prompts us to plug in our car, which we do with the CHAdeMO exactly as before. Once you're plugged in, the app automatically detects the connection and begins the activation of the charger. And now you're connected, you will see an ongoing status screen within the app. This shows how much time has elapsed, how many kilowatt hours have been delivered, and how much you have paid so far. Okay, so let's say we're now ready to finish charging. To finish charging using the app, simply click on the blue button at the bottom that says End Session. You'll be asked to confirm, so click Yes. Once the app has disconnected you from the charger, you'll see a screen with a summary of your charging session, and you'll also be prompted to give feedback on your charging experience. You can now disconnect your cable exactly as before and replace it back in the charger. As you can see, the app will now show the charger as once again available to use. And so that's how to charge with the app. And I have to say, I actually found that pretty easy. And so finally, we're going to try charging using a contactless pay-as-you-go method, in this case, a debit card. Now, as you'll see, using this third method, unfortunately, on this occasion, things didn't quite go according to plan. So let's take a look at what happened. So when you tap the screen, the first thing you'll see is a prompt asking you to select your payment method. So we're going to select contactless payment. Next, it'll ask you if you want to start or stop a charge. So we want to start a charge. You now need to tap your contactless payment on the grey pad on the right where it says Tap Card. Once the payment is approved, it'll then ask you to select your charger type as before. So once again, I select the CHAdeMO. The screen will now direct you to plug in your vehicle and then press the start button at the bottom of the screen. Now, at this stage, the charger should have connected to the EV, just like it did when we charged using the RFID card, and the charger should have gone into the charging status screen. However, unfortunately, instead of connecting, the charger came up with this error screen. And then, after displaying this error, the machine reverted back to the startup screen. After this, I made several further attempts using different debit and credit cards and also my phone's Apple Pay. Unfortunately, I was unsuccessful on all attempts to use a contactless payment.
So that was my experience when I tested one of the new rapid chargers on the Chargeplace Scotland network, using all three methods. So let's talk about how I got on. So starting with the RFID card, I would say that this was by far and away the easiest and quickest way of activating the rapid charger. It requires no contactless bank authorization, and I'd say that having an RFID card, if it's a network you're going to use often, is generally a good idea. I found this with other networks where occasionally I've been unable to activate the charger using an app or a contactless method, yet the RFID card often tends to work. So I think if you're going to use the Chargeplace Scotland network regularly, for the sake of a one-off fee of £10, I would say it's definitely worth having. In fact, myself personally, I keep a wallet full of a range of RFID cards for the common UK charging networks, and I just have it in the glove box. And to be honest, if you're going to be driving a lot, long distances, why not? I think it's worth having. I know there will be people that say you don't have RFID cards for petrol cars, so why should you have them for electric cars? And yes, I understand that, and possibly in the future we're going to find that debit cards are going to become more and more reliable, and you won't need them. But I think for now, why not? Just it takes very little time. You can order all of the major networks cards and have them within a week. So yeah, that's the way I do things anyway. So next, let's have a look at the app. Now, regular viewers of my channel will know that I'm not a big fan of apps generally. I've had problems with many charging apps over the years. And yeah, it's not my favourite way of activating chargers. That being said, I've got to say I really did like the Chargeplace Scotland app. I thought it was easy to use and it worked seamlessly. And I've got to say it's a significant improvement over the previous CYC app, which was the one that the Chargeplace Scotland network used to use. Actually, an interesting advantage, I would say, of using the app is that the status screen is really good. It gives you all the information you need. So if you go for a coffee or a snack and you leave your car on a rapid charge, you can see exactly how much you've charged wherever you go. And so again, if you're using the Chargeplace Scotland network regularly, or you're doing lots of road trips in Scotland, I would definitely recommend downloading the app and registering it. And then you've got an alternative way of charging if you need it. So credit where credit's due, Chargeplace Scotland. I think this is a really good app, so well done there. So now we come to the contactless charging. I wanted this to be an honest review of my experience using one of the new Chargeplace Scotland rapid chargers. And so, yes, this time I was unable to activate this rapid charger using a contactless debit card. I would like to point out that I didn't just use one debit card. I tried using several different debit and credit cards, and I tried using Apple Pay as well. These are definitely debit cards which have worked on that particular road trip on different chargers on my journey. So I know there was nothing wrong with the cards. So on this occasion, unfortunately, I was unable to use any debit card to activate this rapid charger. And that was my honest experience. Now, I've got to say, I found this disappointing because The way I look at it, the newbies to the EV community, the people who have just transitioned to electric vehicles, a lot of them are going to be people who have driven petrol cars and have used contactless payment to pay for their petrol. And so they probably want to have the option of using exactly the same when they use a rapid charger. So some of these people are not going to be keen to use apps or RFID cards. So as electric vehicles really move on to mass adoption, which it is, we really need to make sure that rapid chargers on all the networks have really faultless contactless charging, because that will really embolden people's confidence in the technology. So I really wanted to be able to show contactless working with these new chargers, because one of the real benefits of the next generation of SWARCO rapid chargers is that they do take contactless. So I did reach out to some friends I have, people I know in SWARCO, and as I understand it, one of the things which may have been the problem in this case was at the time I filmed this video, some of the new rapid chargers were only just being enabled for contactless charging. They were only just being sort of connected up to allow this method of payment. So I have been confidently told that most of the chargers are now accepting contactless payment, and that hopefully if you try this now, you shouldn't have this kind of problem. So that's good news to hear. It sounds like this is a problem which has been recognized and hopefully is either in the process of or has been now rectified. If you live in Scotland and you use these rapid chargers regularly, please do let me know in the comments how you've been getting on more recently using the contactless payment, as I'll be very interested to find out if this is something which is now resolved. If for any reason anyone does have any problems using the debit cards, what I would suggest is to quickly download the Chargeplace Scotland app. It only takes about 5 minutes to register and add a payment card, and so that is an alternative way of paying if you do have problems. Now, I also thought I'd make a brief comment on the location where I did this rapid charger test. So this charger was located in Longniddry, which was a suburban area on the coast just east of Edinburgh. It was in a small car park outside the local community centre. In addition to the rapid charger, as I said, there was also a standalone dual 22 kilowatt AC post as well. This location was surrounded by many residential streets, and I think was probably useful for people who don't have off-street parking as a place to go and charge. Now, if you were using this location on a road trip, according to Google anyway, the community centre does appear to be open on 9 to 5. However, I'm not quite sure whether all of the facilities are available to people who are just stopping to use the charger. Perhaps if there's anyone who's local to this area, they could let me know in the comments. In terms of using this location on your own after dark, I would say that it is somewhat isolated and quiet, and so that is something you might want to bear in mind if you are traveling late on your own. So apart from the small hiccup using the contactless on this occasion, otherwise I was very impressed with the new rapid chargers from SWARCO. I found them a definite step up and improvement over the older units. And hopefully going forward, we're going to see a lot more of the local authorities in Scotland upgrading and bringing this new technology to the network. So that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and to click on the notification bell to get new episodes as soon as I release them. And if you did enjoy this video, please don't forget to like it and to share it on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, or whatever social media you use. It really does help out my channel and I really do appreciate it. Anyway, that's it for me today. This is the Plug Seeker signing out. Happy charging, everyone.